different things were coming through, but it was given the number of us that were there, and it spelled out, be careful going home. We're going to be there for them when they come through to the other side. And I think that's quite comforting to know that, because, you know, if you've lost anybody, that there is, you know, there's somebody there for them. I mean, it's not just, you know, they say spirits and ghosts. I mean, you do have like demonic entities that, you know, that if you believe in God, you have to believe in demons, you know. I was standing in long hallway and I called out and I said, right, is there anybody here? Do they want to come across and make themselves known? My grandfather clock.
That was the voice of paranormal investigator Sharon Moen, and her grandfather clock at the end there, the timing of which you couldn't possibly make up. The first chime was right as I turned on the recorder, which you'll hear now in a minute, and that was the second time, which was a bit creepy, I have to say. This is your host Elaine Ingram, and I hope you enjoy the following spooky but also somewhat comforting at times chat about all things paranormal and where Sharon's ghost hunting adventures have taken her.
That's okay.
Well,
that's
that was
just
a nice start to our creepy podcast here, because I'm here with Sharon Moen, who is I don't know, ghost hunter? Could I describe you as that?
Paranormal investigator for Paravent. I've been doing it for quite a few years now. But yeah, paranormal investigator.
Yeah, and one of your photographs was on, you know, made the national news. Yes. From Leith Castle. First of all, tell us a little bit about that, and then you can go on and tell us more about yourself and how you got involved in this. But tell us about that photograph first.
Well, the photograph, we went to Leith Castle. I've been a couple of times now. Usually people who go there tend to get quite a lot of different pieces of evidence. Yes, so we went down there and we went as a team. There was another team as well, so there was two groups of us, and we went to spend the night in the place. It's not very comfortable to sleep in, but we're not there to sleep. We're there to try and find evidence of the paranormal. That particular picture was taken we were all sitting around the fire. There was nobody standing where the picture was taken, but I like photography, and there was a wee camera or a wee candle, and I took a wee picture. Different pictures, there's different ones up on the page, and then when I took it, I could see something, but it was vague. So I went and looked at it, and there was a figure, you know, and to me it looks like a female. Everybody has their own sort of ideas.
It definitely looks like a figure. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, to me it looks like a female with a long dress on. For a start, there's nobody there with a long dress, and everybody was sitting around the fire. There was nobody standing over where that was taken. And yeah, it's been put through the mill with different people looking at it. And,
well, that's what I was going to say. Do things like that, you know, especially in these days with, you know, Photoshop and things like that, would you have gotten a lot of skepticism from that?
Definitely. And Photoshop is something we don't do, you know, but
yeah.
You know, unless somebody's there,
people are going to question.
They do
question that. Mm-hmm. But was it taken through its? You know, obviously, if it was put in the newspapers, obviously it was considered to be genuine.
Yeah.
So they must.
They
have
had their
done
own people looking at it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But no, here we love it when we get something like that, because for us that's a bit of evidence, backing up sort of what we do and what we believe in. There's other stuff we put up. Like for instance the video of my daughter, and of course again it's that's been rigged because you're into the paranormal and all that sort of thing. But
yeah, there's a video you have of your daughter and she's playing the piano, and I mean, she certainly, if it wasn't true, she's certainly a very good actress, because she jumped out of her skin when the chair just moved. The
chair moved, yeah. Not just the once, it had moved before. And then she was...
Yeah, there's two separate videos that moved again after that.
But before that as well, before she started video, it had moved a bit. And it just seemed to then get stronger the second time. And then you can see clearly, you know, she's afraid, you know. It also happened, it happened to be maybe that certain particular tune she was playing, because things have happened since then. Also, there's a video as well up of her hair. You can see her hair, but she feels like her hair is being touched quite often.
And even in that video, the sheet music, that moved. Was there a draft or anything?
No,
or was
no. Now, I have a window open here now. There was no window open that day. You know, I did all this. I looked under the doors. I looked everywhere. I thought, well, you know, what could have caused that? We have no explanation. It definitely happened. She's not the type of person to tell lies. You know, it happened, and she was really, really freaked out about it, and has been on various occasions since with different things.
How long ago was that?
It was before lockdown anyway. So
but it was
about a year and a half ago. Yeah.
Anyway, tell us a bit about yourself, Sharon. How did you get involved in all of this, and what is the name? The name of the group that you have is
Paravent.
Paravent. Yeah. Tell us a bit about them and, you know, how it all started for you.
Well, for me, it started, I had an interest in, I used to be afraid of it growing up. I would have seen ghosts. I would have heard things, more so heard things when I was younger. And then I remember one night I heard something to me that sounded like a full-on war going on outside, you know, like a fighting and shooting and stuff went out. There was nothing there, obviously. So it wasn't just like small, like a little, like small things. It was quite big things.
Yeah. I
went away to study in Manchester, and I had something very strange happen there. It was almost poltergeist activity going on. There was other two girls that were living in the house with me, and they all experienced it. I mean, this involved like my door. I couldn't get out of my room. It was locked. All the lights went off. The house felt like it was shaking. The next thing, they were screaming at the other side of the door. I put my hand on the door, wouldn't open, but then eventually it's as if something just, I don't know what happened, but the door just opened, and the three of us were standing there, and this thing, don't know what it was, just went, Sharon, and whispered right, you know, the three of us heard it, and there was no drink or drugs involved, but we all had to sleep in the same room after that for quite a while, just to get ourselves sort of settled. But that was another big thing. But I would have been visited by an elderly lady. I would have I would have sensed as well if I walked into a house that there was something there. You know, I might not have seen anything, but I would have sensed things. So anyway, eventually, I was afraid at that time of anything to do with paranormal. Didn't want anything to do with it or know anything about it. Later on, I'd moved into a house in Armagh, and as soon as I walked in, I just thought it was lovely, very welcoming, Victorian. It was an old Victorian house. I did it up because I wanted to really stay there and whatever. The next thing, small things started to happen, but more so when people came to visit. And like for instance, my mother, when she came, you know, she would get things through at her from out of nowhere. And we were picking up on video quite big orbs. Now, some people believe in them, some people don't. I tend not to, but they were very, very distinct. And I thought, no, there's something not right. That's not dust or whatever. So then we had children, the sound of children running up and down the stairs, which she also heard. She never came back.
There's nothing creepier than children.
Yeah. This to me, it was like, it wasn't just one person, you know, or, you know, a couple of children. It was like, then you would get like an angry spirit coming in, and then you get the spirit of a lady. There was also a photograph taken there of a lady standing at the bottom of the stairs. It was taken by my brother-in-law. He took the picture, and when he took it, I could see on his camera that I sat there, and then we were able to, there was nobody down there. Well, there shouldn't have been anybody down there.
Did you look into the history of the house? Had there been anything there before?
We had something.
It wasn't built in a graveyard or anything like that?
It was a graveyard not far from it, but right. No, it's just a very old house. But there was something about a doctor that was there, and I think maybe a surgeon or something to do with Armagh jail. So that was okay. I ended up moving out because this thing, if I went to turn a light on, it would come on for me before I'd even switch it on. Before I touched the light, things were happening at 3 a.m. in the morning, around 3 a.m. And as we know, that's supposed to be like a time when spirits will feel more comfortable coming out, showing themselves. Things like that. But it got to the point where there was one night my wee girl, she was screaming in her bed. I run up and I found her. She was upside down in the bed.
Oh my God.
And I couldn't lift her. It was as though something was nearly holding her down. And I says, right, that's it. No, and the bed was perfectly made. So I thought, right, okay, is this some sort of a seizure or what? I don't. But it was, to me, it was paranormal.
Do you think that do you think that paranormal, like ghosts and things like that, will come to particular people? Do you think it was particular to you? Because you've seen these things and these things have happened to you no matter where you've been. Are they traveling with you? Or is it just that you happen to be in places that happen to be haunted? Or
right, I don't think they necessarily travel with me. I think I've been able to see things. Some people just are more open to it than others. They're more susceptible to it. Some people are more. I wouldn't say I'd be a very religious person or anything like that.
I was going to ask you about that.
I believe in God. I believe in being a good person. More than anything else. And I do believe that some people are just, if something's going to happen, like if a spirit wants to make themselves known, they'll know who to go to in a room, that'll be able to see them more so than others. Some people just don't want to see it and they'll shut that down and pass it off as, oh, that's nothing. Many of a person I've spoke to they've seen something and thought, oh no, that's not, and that's it. They never talk about it again. And full on figures, and I'm saying, well, do you not wonder who it was or why that appeared to you? And they're like, no, don't want to know about it. So, whereas I do want to know about it, and I'd like to prove that's what we're about. We want to try and prove that that this does happen and that spirits do exist and they walk amongst us.
So, is this when you set up the group then?
Yeah, well, I was I joined another group, another paranormal group, and that got me really interested and got me started into it. And it was brilliant times. And you do have a lot of fun as well. It's not all about all this scary ghost stuff. You enjoy it.
I suppose it's like-minded people as well.
Like-minded people, and also you're braver in a group, because you're like, oh, did you see that? And if you're on your own, you might maybe do a runner. But when you're in a group, you have the strength of each other there, and everybody has their own wee strengths. Some people are better hearing, some people see more, and others are maybe more scientific in it. We would have ones in the group that just would be there to say, right, no, that's, they debunk certain situations and say, no, that's just the wind.
The X-Files.
Yeah, so we try and balance it. Do
you find there is the other side of that coin though? If you are in a group, would there be any, chance that people might be sort of egging people on and are seeing things that maybe aren't there?
That's always a possibility. Yeah, it's something you would watch.
Or if you go to say if you go to a haunted place and you want to see something, do you think that there's any way that the mind can play tricks that you can actually think you see something just because you merely want to?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Especially in the dark.
Yeah.
You're going to see shadows. You're going to hear movement. We go to a lot of old buildings, we went to Loftus Hall one time and the wind was howling through the windows and it made all sorts of noises and, you were thinking, right, was that definitely sounded like something, but then you have to, right, no, we cannot.
And then you can convince each other.
Yeah, you can. Yeah. Oh, you can, surely. But especially if you have, a group, people who are new to it or whatever, and they're very quick to jump and say, oh, that was, I heard, somebody say, there was definitely a spirit talking there, but I'm like, no, well, that's the wind. You have to put that all into perspective to them. And I've debunked many of a situation whenever we're doing investigations, but you have to. That's why I like I like photographs. I like audio. You listen back to what's happened. You have it recorded, so you can listen back to it and say, right now, did I hear that? Did I not? Whatever, and you'll take out. Hopefully, we do get some really good audio pieces of information coming through.
Do you have to use any special sort of equipment, or is it just, cameras and just phones?
Well, we would use the SB11, and that you can sort of scan over dual frequency, FM, AM, forward and reverse, and you shouldn't anything you're really picking up clear. You shouldn't be getting radio in there. You'll get odd sounds of it, but you should be able to pick up. Spirits are supposed to be able to manipulate that and have a conversation with you, and we've had some really, really good results with that. The military museum, when we did that, we were actually picking up what sounded to us like we were beside a piece of equipment that was used for communication. The ones that you would have wound up and put to the ear, and I had my hand in it, and we were calling out to see would anybody come through. And we got what sounded like an American soldier coming through, and then he gave his name. It was a really strange name, but anyway. And then the next thing, it sounded like he was going offline because he's like, there was something happening, there was some sort of a fight going on or an explosion happened or whatever it was, and then it just went dead. And we were all sitting going, oh my God, what was that? I think we've just got a wee glimpse into what maybe happened with that piece of equipment, because a lot of things, I believe a lot of things carry attachments with them as well. Right. So you can get energy off stuff like that,
especially
anything that's been involved in trauma or traumatic event. So we do pick a lot of energy up off things like that.
Yeah. And you're speaking about soldiers there. I know there's been an awful lot of stories about Narrowwater Castle, and you mentioned to me before we started this about Narrowwater Castle, so
yes.
And actually the keep in particular. Obviously, it being a castle that has a history, and it's said to be haunted. But tell us your
castles do experience. Have. I love castles. What was the last we did Redwood Castle there not so long ago. We've done Leap before this whole lockdown. We were castle crazy, but that one in particular, the keep, we were driving past one day, and I said I have to go in there. I was always drawn to it. Went in, and we got a wee nosy around, and I felt like I'd been there before, but knew I hadn't. I passed it on the road. So anyway, I came home and I took pictures, whatever, put them up on my Facebook page, and a cousin of mine contacted me from America to say, Sharon, you do know we're related to the lady that jumped off the
lady that
jumped, Sarah McGuinness.
Was that her name? I didn't know her name.
Yeah, Sarah McGuinness.
I've heard the story many times.
Yeah. I actually looked into it after that. Whenever he told me that, and I couldn't get over it because we were related to McGuinnesses and up that direction. He said she had jumped off. She was being held captive or something. There's a big romantic story to it. She was
wasn't she
sailing down the river or something with her partner? She was escaping from her family to run off to elope with a loved one, a musician. But apparently they shot into the water, and he was killed, but they kept her and held her for ransom or whatever, and she ended up throwing herself off the top of.
And that's a true story.
That's the true story, apparently, yeah. And I do believe she's buried there. I haven't been back since, but I'm going to make a point. I did send a couple of emails, but I have to make a point of going back. Now I know this whole connection.
She actually buried there, yeah?
Yeah. The man that was looking after the castle or the keep that day, he said, and here is where she's buried. It's just out the front of it. And I was like, oh wow, couldn't believe it. And I thought, but there was just something that drew me to it. And when I went home and I found this all out, only because of Facebook, I never would have known. And he was able to send me the connection and all that, the family connection to the McGuinnesses. So it's very, very strange that I always had that sort of pull towards it. So maybe in the future we'll get a wee investigation in there. That would be good.
Yeah. What other places have you been?
Now, the Workhouse in Armagh, a very interesting one. Sad, because whenever we were doing it, there is a lot of sadness that comes through. We have had lots of, again, EVPs that we've captured there. We kept getting, for instance, we kept getting this priest that kept coming across, and then we'd get a lot of women, But I mean, it was a sad place. Awful things happened in it. Them times in the workhouses wouldn't have been a very nice place to be. The women were separated from the men. The children were separated from their parents. You know, so there was a lot of deaths. They were just like all buried and put into this big coffin. I mean, it's there. You can go and see it. There's a wee museum there now, and you know, it's just so sad to think.
It's like Wicklow Jail. Wicklow Jail is tragic.
I've done it too. Yeah. We stayed in a cell in it overnight.
The history of that is just so horrible.
Yeah,
Children and people being just put in jail for little or nothing.
Nothing.
You know?
Yeah. Same as Armagh jail. You know, they would have been put into it for food, stealing a piece of food. But a lot of the ones didn't. It was better for them to be in the jails than it was in the workhouses. Some would do things in the workhouses to get put into the jails because they thought it was a better life in there than better conditions. Yeah,
which says a lot in itself.
Yeah. And at one time they were just all put in. They weren't segregated in the jails. The men were in. You know, they were in together, and children were in with adults. You know, so they weren't segregated at the start either. So and the what I would call them dungeons where they would have kept them. I mean, appalling, just terrible conditions.
So what did you see there?
Oh, full on. Which one, in Armagh jail or?
Yeah, in Armagh jail.
I saw a full on figure coming down the steps towards me, full on figure, and then talking, whispering when there was nobody else there. I was locking up by myself, and I would have heard that going on too. But again, it has such the history and like the traumatic events that happened there. You know, you're going to get that energy, that residual energy, lying there within its walls. You know.
Do you believe that these ghosts or spirits that have, you know, not been able to move on to the next life, or what is the belief that, you know, why are they here?
Everybody has an opinion.
Or do you believe that they're all here all the time anyway?
Everybody has an opinion on this. You know, everybody thinks it has their own views on it. I think you can get a whole mixture. Some of it, you're just seeing a wee bit of the past that has happened. You know, it's not that necessarily they're coming back. It's just that maybe some people can see what sort of maybe happened.
Oh, I never actually thought of that. So you're actually looking
back. Yeah. At other times, people are coming back to visit, whether it be somebody just wants you to know they're okay, or they're coming to see a loved one. We do house visits as well, and that is really where we that's important. That's an important part of what we do as well, because if something's happening in their home and they're afraid at night or whatever, and they want to know what's going on, you know, you go out and you help and you try and see.
How would you do that now? Would it involve Ouija boards or anything like that?
No, we don't do Ouija boards in people's houses at all. We go out and we would we always would take sage with us. We'd burn some sage. There'd be a bit of some
why
prayers.
Sage? What's the significance of that?
Sage we use it for clearance. It's supposed to help clear any sort of negative energy away from the home. But you know, a lot of the times whenever I go out, I would take my equipment as well, the SB11, and we would do some recordings and, you know, talk to the people that are in the home. And most of the time, 9 times out of 10, it is something's going on at that time. Maybe somebody's very ill, or they've recently passed away, or they're maybe passing, and somebody's just coming through from the other side to say, they're okay, we're here for them. You know, we're going to be there for them when they come through to the other side. And I think that's quite comforting to know that, because, you know, if you've lost anybody, that there is, you know, there's somebody there for them. And I think it can cross, you know, people can cross over to help with that, to help with that transition through to the next life, especially if they're very, very ill, and for the rest of the family. And times like that, when you're going through that emotion and grief and whatever, or you know something's on the carry, something's going to happen, and a loved one's not doing well, you will be more susceptible to that. You maybe will start seeing things going on, and you know, there'll be high emotions and stuff. But
do you think it's so? Do you think that, it can be a big comfort to say somebody who's lost somebody, even if they don't really believe, they take some comfort from, wanting to,
yeah.
Do you find
Well,
that?
I would. I mean, if that was happening to me, and somebody was, ready to pass on or whatever, and things started to happen, and there was somebody came to my house, and we're able to maybe have some sort of a conversation, whether it be very, very small or just a name, and they say, and I would know that name, and I maybe the name of somebody else who had passed on before, that they were there to guide them across.
So you knowing that name, how would that, would you just be hearing these voices or something like that?
Well, that, and I would hear voices regularly. It makes me sound completely crazy, but anyway. But we would pick them up on audio, on the recordings, and we'd be listening back to it, and I'd say, right, this is what I've got. Do you know this name? And they'd say, usually they'd say, right, oh, yes, I do. And I'd say, right, okay. I'd say, are you an uncle? Mm-hmm. And then I'd be waiting for a yes or a no, without them telling me.
Yeah.
And we'd do it that way. So, because sometimes, otherwise, it just confuses things. So I would ask the spirit that is trying
So it's like a seance.
Well, sort of, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, a modern seance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what about, you said you don't do Ouija boards or anything like that. Why is that? You think that's just a nonsense, or?
Well, I wouldn't do Ouija boards with anybody else. I mean, in a group capacity, the paranormal group itself, if we're all together by ourselves, if we want to do something like that, to find out any information, we can do that, and have done in the past, but we wouldn't do that with other people.
Have you had any really strange experiences with that?
Yes.
Tell us something.
Well, we were in a location, and this is with another team that I was with, and we were all there, and we were using it, and different things were coming through, but it was given the number of us that were there, and it spelled out, be careful going home. Basically, we were told to be careful going home. I can't remember the exact what exactly was said, but anyway, we were going home, and there was a car. We came across a car that was facing the other side of the road, facing towards us, and then we thought, oh God, there's been an accident or something. And then we sort of remembered, be careful going home, and it turns out that there was a couple of men hiding in the ditch. So were they waiting for us to stop the car, or and get out, or what? I don't know, but
you didn't stop.
We didn't stop. We drove on, so hopefully they were all right. But I didn't hear anything much else about it. But another car was coming behind us, one of the other group members, and the same thing, and they saw the ones hiding in the ditch too. So I think that was a wee warning, and you can get warnings with Ouija board, stuff like that. I would not advise anybody to do it.
Well, I was always terrified. I remember when I was a kid, when I was a teenager, Ouija boards were a real thing.
Yeah.
In the 80s, they seemed to have just had a moment, but it was something that we would not mess with, because you didn't know whether you actually believed it or didn't believe it, but then you'd be afraid, I'm not taking the chance.
Yeah.
And then you hear the things of, if you summon a ghost or something with a Ouija board, it can stay in your house, and I don't know if that was all just rubbish or what.
You have to remember as well, I mean, it's not just, they say spirits and ghosts. I mean, you do have like demonic entities that, that if you believe in God, you have to believe in demons, and I've seen something that I will never forget in a convent, but a convent, can't disclose a location, but it was in a convent. I was standing in long hallway, and I called out, and I said, right, is there anybody here? Do they want to come across and make themselves known?
Oh.
My grandfather clock. Can you make yourself known to me? And the next thing, it was a southern accent, female, and she said, as clear as day, we're watching you.
Oh, God.
As clear as day. And I went, well, thank you for that. I'm glad you're watching me.
Did you get a cold
communicate.
feeling?
Oh, totally. Yeah, freezing.
Is it like it is in the movies where, the room goes cold and you can just feel this?
Yeah, and we do have things that bring up the temperature drop, and it'll start going red and beeping. But that wasn't the demonic. Well, I don't think it was the demonic entity. But the next thing, this thing was coming up out of the ground, and you could see the two hands coming up, and it was like creeping.
Oh no!
And I've only seen it in movies.
Sounds like The Ring.
Doesn't it? See, I can't watch. I'm not very good with horrors, believe me.
That's a really scary one.
But this, I mean, to me, that wasn't normal. You know, that wasn't just a nice spirit coming along to say hello.
What did you do?
Well, we had a medium on the team, and she decided to go and, you know, talk to see what was going on. She's no fear in her. Whereas I was like, no, well, here, that's where I stop. You know, I don't like any. Don't give me a demon. I can work with, you know,
friendly ghosts.
Casper. Give me Casper any day. But
there's a lot of films, you know, about you know. I think those Conjuring films. You said you don't really watch horror.
Oh, I do watch
well,
the Conjuring because
wasn't that based on? Isn't that the two husband and wife team?
Warren.
The Warrens. Yeah. Now they are real people.
Yeah.
And were they involved in the Amityville?
I think they were.
I think they were too. Yeah.
They would be when you just love to have the opportunity to have them around for dinner for a good old chat. Like, what they did was amazing. It was scary, but I mean they had each other, and both again like-minded people believed in what they saw and what they did, and
but they had a hard time convincing people. I mean, I don't know if they were. You know, they were constantly being investigated as frauds, and I don't know what the outcome of that was in the end. I don't know if I don't know what happened in the end there, but with them, but
I do think TV, you know, national TV made them look like frauds. If you know the interviews and all, but people
do you find a lot of skepticism out there.
Oh, huge amounts of it. Look, you could take them in to your house and something could happen, and they would still say, you know, well, no, that didn't happen. And they could even see it with their own eyes and still say it. If somebody just doesn't want to believe, they're just not going to believe.
I suppose it's like just any sort of faith. You can either, you know, if you're going to say you believe in God, you know, I mean, faith is faith.
Yeah.
And by the whole nature of faith, it's believing in something that's kind of not provable.
Yeah.
You know, so.
And you just can't see with your own eyes. But there was a visitor came recently to the house, and she was standing over there at the cooker, and the next thing her coat was pulled, and she nearly had heart failure and is afraid of anything to do with that, but she knows it happened, and she's told people, oh, I can't get over what happened and you know in Sharon's house, and it was crazy. So it's not just me and then Ellie getting these things. She's another example of somebody who's just come in and she's experienced something here as well.
I will be letting our listeners know before I leave this house if I experience anything. Don't worry about it.
I know, if you're here, come on out and show yourself on this wee podcast. That would be really, really good.
Do you find it now? Do you think that in your house, you know, it's a friendly spirit? Do you think?
I do. Yeah.
Do you think it's like a poltergeist type, just you know, playing little tricks and messing about? Where poltergeists are meant to be like kind of tricksters, aren't they?
Yeah. No, I don't think it's anything poltergeisty at all.
Although poltergeists can be bad too. I'm remembering the movie now.
Yeah.
I always think of them as being friendly little imps that go around, you know, doing like your daughter saw the chair moving and stuff like that. That's not anything to be frightened of.
Now the old Victorian house I lived in, yes, to me that was poltergeist activity, and there was activity there that was, you know, it was angry, you know, different. I'm not even sure. I think when it comes to what happened with her at the piano, I think that's something to do with Ellie. She'd been playing piano somewhere else in an old house, and she was doing that song, and that's not even a song off, you know, her out of the
music sheets.
The music sheets. That's just something she does herself. She's picked it up somewhere. She doesn't know where. But I think that could be to do with that. I don't think it's to do with the house. I think that's maybe her own wee attachment. She'll be delighted to hear that. But she's grand. She understands it all.
Teenagers, they say, I don't know if there's any truth to this either in your experience, but they say that, especially young girls, I suppose that's why they make a lot of movies about stuff like that. It's that puberty and adolescence and stuff like that ghosts tend to attach to. And
you will some of the house cases we've done, we'll go and it's maybe the teenage daughter that's getting, and for some reason it is, that is something that comes up quite a bit. Why? Who knows?
Yeah.
But there's a whole psychological element behind it, as well as hormonal and all that sort of stuff. But yes, it is something that does happen quite a few. Well, I've seen it quite a lot, and that hopefully she's coming out of that now. She's just turning 18 now, so there's various different groups throughout the country. But I believe we all should, be able to experience what different groups do, and I don't mind, if anybody wants to move about to another group, go on ahead. We should be sharing our experiences. I know there could be quite a bit of sort of how can I put it?
Differences of opinions?
And locations is a big thing, trying to get locations, and then some groups have locations and other ones are looking in and can't get in. But whenever you're striving to find something and somewhere is active, you want to go to that place, But the likes of that Hellfire Club, I just say I wrote it down.
The Hellfire Club. I grew up the road from the Hellfire Club, and I remember all those stories about devils and cloven feet, and they found out in recent years that the Hellfire Club was actually built on an old burial ground.
Yes.
Yeah. And that was only about, I say recent years, probably about 10 years ago. Mm-hmm. But I grew up there, and it was the stories of the Hellfire Club were just, it was just one of those urban myths.
Yeah. Well,
but then that actually came out that it was, and that was a big thing. Tell me about the Hellfire Club.
No, well, we went to the Hellfire Club, and
for anybody who doesn't know, the Hellfire Club is just up in the Dublin Mountains.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Brave we walk up to it. You can nearly roll down it, but it is worth going to. We were down in the basement area, and the next thing, I had a bag and a coat over my bag, and I was standing, and there was video going, and the infrared picked up whatever was happening at night. So the next thing, I didn't see it, but my coat had lifted, but I did feel my leg being grabbed.
Oh my God.
And it was a proper grab, and of course I was like, right, what happened? I take a dicky fit on, it's up on YouTube somewhere, and that was Nocturnal Newry, would have had that up, and I definitely, my leg was grabbed. That coat lifted, and I didn't feel the coat lifting, but you could see it then in the recording. But yeah, definitely very, very freaky place, the Hellfire Club.
I remember just for the story that I grew up with from the Hellfire Club was that there were a group of men playing poker in the Hellfire Club, and somebody knocked at the door and came in, and he joined their poker game, and apparently he cleared them all out. He won all the games, and then he got up to leave, and as he walked out the door, they
saw the hooves,
and they saw the hooves.
Yeah,
that's the story.
And I think he shot up. Oh no, that was Loftus Hall. He shot up through the scene. Loftus Hall, the devil was seen there. The devil himself was seen there. We were there. Oh, amazing! It's an amazing place. But one that we've recently, we've been twice now, is Spike Island in Cork. Have you heard of Spike Island?
Heard of Spike Island, yes.
Well, we go and we stay overnight, and the lock is in the fort. Well, they close the big doors. We're in the fort for the night, and we stay there and spend a lot of the time around the old in the prisons that's in there. Oh, the cells are very creepy. Again, with some great pictures of that place on the page, but they've discovered all these tunnels now as well underneath it. They didn't know were there before, and we got into one of them. There's a video of that, and you just know, when you're walking around, you just feel it's like going through this really what nearly feels like evil moving across into calm brightness, the hot spots in it are amazing. If you're an investigator, you'll know when you're walking around sort of the best places to go. But we were getting brilliant audio there. That's definitely a good place to go to, even just for the day, because you get to go out in the boat over to Spike Island itself. So we want to look more into going there as well, and going back, because it's just so big to do it in one night. You'd need a week in it. Sharon Rectory, I'm sure you've heard of it before as well.
No, I haven't actually.
Sharon Rectory have done it as well. It's got its own history, and there was a murder there. I took a picture in the basement, and you can see a face, like a bearded man, in the basement with us, and that was quite freaky. And we had some great EVPs. I said in one part of it, I said, do you like the way Louise has the house now? She has it beautiful, right enough, it is beautiful. And
is that the person who owns the house?
And it just came across, it's my house.
Oh my God.
As plain as day. And I have that recorded. I think she has it up on their page somewhere too. So, when you ask a question like that, do you like the way Louise has the house now? And it turns around and says, something comes across on the SB11 saying, it's my house. You've got something there.
Yeah.
Because it's an intelligent response. So you get lots of other stuff too. You just have to sort of pass off. But we like ones that are good and clear like that.
Yeah. So I suppose you do find a lot of stuff that's just that's not genuine or not.
Okay, yeah, definitely. Especially using the equipment and stuff, you can't be. And your own ears, that's something you'll hear, but nobody else maybe will be hearing the same thing. So, and if you want proof, it's something you need there that you need to put up, and people need to be able to hear it or see it.
And do you you said you hear stuff. Do you hear stuff all the time?
I wouldn't say all the time, but often, yeah.
Would you be just like walking through a room or something? And
yeah, I would.
And taps on the shoulder, that kind of thing?
Yeah, definitely.
Or just feeling presences?
Them as well. All of that, I would, yes, you'd say, oh, he's only after grabbing, not even just faint touches, full on, like something putting their hand on your shoulder. I
think everybody's probably had at some point, most people I'm sure have had that thing where you'll feel somebody on your shoulder. These things that people brush off as nothing. It could be something. And again, if you don't want to believe in that sort of, you want to leave that sort of thing, the sort of paranormal thing out of your life, you're not going to want it. Do you believe in guardian angels?
I believe that I believe that spirits, people who've passed over, do protect you. As a child, I was hit by a car, and they couldn't believe how I survived it without as much as a broken bone in my body. But I remember, and I was lying on the ground. I was only 10, lying on the ground, and my eyes are closed, and I thought, right, am I dead? And then there was definitely another person I felt with me, but it was away from everybody else, but I felt like somebody else was with me. And the one strange thing is I never felt a thing. Now, whether your body just goes into some sort of shock, but it was I ran out on the road, and then this car hit me, flew up, hit a tree, branches came down onto the ground, and all I had was a couple of bruises on my legs, and you should have seen the car. And I was only a wee skittery thing at that age. And the ambulance came, I was taken away, and they couldn't believe that I had nothing, only a couple of bruises. But I did feel like somebody else was with me that day, that evening. But that to me, and funny enough, it probably would have been after that I would have started to see.
Do you think that has anything to do with it then? Do you think
possibly?
That maybe you had
I've never actually even thought of that.
One arm in the next world or something like that?
Yeah.
That you
Yeah, things would have escalated from about that age on throughout my life then. Just in wee bits and pieces, gradually built. But yeah, that could have had something to do with it. And I honestly never thought of that before, and we were sitting talking now.
Yeah. And you have kids. How many kids have you got now?
I have 3.
You have 3 kids. And what ages are they? You said your daughter's nearly 18.
Oh, she's 18 now in May, yes. Aaron's 12 and Millie Kate, she is 9.
And how do they feel about all this, about what you do? And
well, they don't really know much about it. The younger ones don't. They say, Mummy, they'll call me a Ghostbuster. But, you know, they're thinking Casper. They don't know anything to do with, you know, I think Aaron might have seen the video of the piano because he was on YouTube, you see. But the other one doesn't really. But I think it's, you know, I don't want them growing up to be afraid of anything like that. They'll never be on a ghost hunt with me. They'll never, you know, but it's good for them to know that there are possibly things out there and people believe in different things, and not to be afraid of something. If it comes along and taps you on the shoulder, you know, just go, oh, you know, just pass it off or say hello or whatever and move on. Don't be afraid of things, you know.
Yeah. And do you have anything? I know you've probably been shut down, lockdown. You probably haven't been able to do a lot of your, you know.
Yeah.
So have you got anything planned? We're coming out of lockdown now, thank God.
We want to go back to Spike. I love it. But we have we're going to Scotland. We have a relocation that we're going to go to that is supposed to be crazy active. So we want to do that. And we do want to go further afield and do sort of go over to England and visit different places over there that we believe, or that people believe, are really, really active, because we've done quite a bit here. But the funny thing is, you could go somewhere. Well, there's so many places, but as I say, you could just go into a simple wee house locally and get amazing activity.
And I suppose the best things are when it is something unexpected like that, because you know then there's nothing playing tricks with your mind or your imagination. It's not like you're going into a haunted castle as such and waiting for something to happen. If it's something out of the blue, then you know that the chances are it is more real, because and
people have to remember, when you watch the likes of Most Haunted and these things, you know, they're done for TV, and there's no.
They wouldn't have a show if they didn't find something. So.
Exactly, they have to find something, and that could be over a period of nights, and they condense it into the one episode or whatever. Or you know, when you go out and you're doing a paranormal investigation, if you can get one piece of evidence that night, whether it be an EVP, an intelligent response, you know, that makes sense to everything that's going on around at that time, happy days, you know. And many of the time you can get nothing. We are, you know, now for instance, right, we're doing the Titanic pump house and the docks there, and you know, I expected to go down into the docks and it just be amazing. You know, this is where the Titanic was built, and you're thinking all these romantic ideas. But surprisingly enough, in the pump house, you know, we're getting loads of activity in there. So it's spots of it, places of it, you think, oh, this is going to be amazing. But then you go to another wee bit of it, you think, oh, that's going to be quiet. So it's a pump house, you know, I know there was people working in it. Hopefully we haven't got, that was just before lockdown, so we can't wait to get back there and do a bit more with them. And we always revisit Cumber House in Keady. It's amazing. It's great too. I believe it's like a portal into the other side, because we always get something there, you know. So looking forward to it. And we've had actually, you know, like things moving there, you know, cutlery being thrown, things like that, and voices and names being called out, and so yeah.
Oh, I'll have to.
I'm getting all excited. Definitely.
It sounds like great fun. If nothing else, it sounds like, well, I don't know, maybe I'd be too scared, but
no, I think you'd be fine.
In a group I'd probably be okay.
You'd be fine in a group.
I don't know if I'd stay overnight anywhere though.
Oh well, yeah, that's the best crack, because you have to wait till about 3 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, I don't know about that.
Well, sure, we'll see.
Yeah,
we'll pick somewhere for you that's not too bad, and then you can build it up from there.
All right. Well,
near enough now we'll be able to get back in in a small group. We'll get back out there and try and bring some more evidence out there to the public, and let everybody make their own minds up.
Yeah, exactly. It's great to have different perspectives on everything.
Yeah.
And it's really nice talking to you.
Yeah, you too. Okay. Thank you.
Thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed that and got what you will from it. It looks like I'm going to be going ghost hunting soon, and if I don't chicken out, I'll be bringing my recorder I'll have an open mind, but also a healthy dose of skepticism. And whatever happens, I'll definitely be keeping you posted. So remember to keep getting all of your news from Armagh, and I hope you join us next time for our podcast.